Inflation is cooling and the S&P 500 hit another all-time high, but Washington has a debt problem, and it could threaten this bull run. Welcome to the Big Money Show, everyone. I'm Jackie DeAngelis, along with my co-hosts David Asman, Lou Bassanese, Brian Bremberg, and with us for the hour, Forbes Media Chairman, Editor-in-Chief Steve Forbes. Let's look at retail sales. They tumbled unexpectedly in July, a sign that consumers may be feeling the squeeze from high prices and high rates. But while inflation is cooling, America's cost to borrow is exploding. The U.S. is facing its highest 30-year borrowing costs in a quarter century, as the interest tab on the national debt keeps climbing. But Chicago Fed President Austin Goolsbee says the economy for now is holding up.
Well, I think that if you look on the real side of the economy, like the job market and GDP growth, I think it's been pretty stable. I think the problem has been on the inflation side, as you know, as everybody knows, these questions of affordability. And their inflation's been too high, and our progress stalled out a little bit. We're in that delicate space where the overall economy feels fairly stable, and we're mostly watching the inflation component.
So this is a concern, Steve Forbes, and I want to get your take on it because we do watch the market making these new records. You've got underlying earnings growth. You've got a tech sector that is really strong right now, but there are problems, and interest rates are one of them. What are your thoughts on where we go from here and how much more this rally can go without a trouble spot somewhere else?
Well, the key thing is obviously earnings. Even when you take out all the tech stuff, they're up, what, 20%, and which is a phenomenal performance. And the key thing is, though, how do you keep it going? And one of the things I think the White House finally is going to do is put in a reconciliation bill. As I've said, that sounds like a marriage bill, but they are going to go for maybe capital gains tax cut. They should go for individual tax cuts as well to make people feel things are really moving, because you have uncertainty. The tariff thing, he keeps coming on with new tariffs, soft tariffs. That creates uncertainty in terms of investment. And in terms of the debt that you referenced to, yes, the dollar has been very strong recently, but you have supply, demand. When you have a lot of supply, where's the demand? And that's why the 30-year is going up. Got a little bit of a retreat on terms of short rates on the Treasury bill side, but there are uncertainty out there, and the overhang of the war. And the amazing thing is, in terms of people's perception of inflation, what are the two things they look at? Even though prices may have so-called stabilized, beef, that still is going up. The gasoline prices, that still is wobbling. Sticker prices for colleges, that certainly is not going down. Healthcare premiums, not going down. Mortgage rates, moving up. So uncertainty, and people don't feel good about the economy, even though we have some good numbers, the way they did when Reagan's first term, after his tax cuts and other reforms kicked in. People really felt morning again in America. They don't have that feeling today, and it's going to affect eventually the market, especially if they don't get this Iranian thing resolved and realize you have to do what you have to do. It's not going to be economics that brings down that regime.
And consumer spending is 2/3 of the economy, Lou. So it's very important. You see some weakness in retail numbers today. And the consumer's holding up, but you have to wonder what's going to happen to all these points that Steve just made if things don't change a little. If there are some tax adjustments, or there's an adjustment in the capital gains tax where people hold on to more money, then they take that money that they've saved and they put it back into the economy.
Yes. So, like, the death of the consumer has been greatly exaggerated. We always come to this. We're waiting for them to fall off the cliff. But good news, everyone here and America, we're all resilient in our spending. But I do think Steve is right. There's an eventually here that's happening, right? Costs are going up. The inflation prices that are going higher are the structural ones: real estate, healthcare, energy. I think you have to be cautious here, right? I think the pass-on, knock-on effects of this war in Iran is going to show up in areas of the market that are sensitive to consumer spending. Is not where I'd want to be right now. So, you know, I'd argue and in violent agreement with Steve here, is earnings still are carrying the day for the economy and for the stock market. This is one of the best earnings booms we've ever seen in the market. And it's not just because of AI. I think that's the key distinction. It's the other 493 companies outside of the Mag 7 that are really showing growth. I mean, we've showed them on the show. It's the industrials, it's 3M, it's Caterpillar. So there's a breadth to this bull market that's encouraging. But the big risk is the war and how long it lasts, and affordability. I hate it; it's the buzzword. But I think the solution is don't talk about affordability. Talk about how you're going to put more money back in people's in their pockets.
And some tax incentives would definitely help do that.
Yeah.
David, where I get stuck a little is how can earnings be so robust if high rates are having such an impact?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one reason is because of the tariffs that you mentioned. Apple got a $2.2 billion refund from the tariffs, the $33 billion that had to be paid back. Nike got $986 million. FedEx got $800 million. Amazon got $640 million. I'm not saying there isn't a good reason for profits to be up. There is. The economy is going very strong in these big macro ways, not necessarily the micro ways, but the tariffs really did screw up some of the whole accounting standards that we have. That's one reason why you had this $1.8 trillion deficit for just the first 10 months of the year. So it could go over $2 trillion pretty easily, is because of the payback. Again, $33 billion had to be paid back by the administration. So there some things, and what kills me is that this is in spite of the fact that we have been laying off a lot of government workers. That's one thing that I'm pleased about that went down in the jobs numbers was the government workers. I think it was 54,000 fewer government jobs.
Almost 400,000 since the president took office.
Right, but just last month it was 54,000 in 1 month that we had fewer. So we're downsizing the government, which is good. We're not getting the bang yet, partly because of the fact of the payback of the tariffs, et cetera. But we need another boost, not just for the overall economy. Again, Wall Street is doing fine right now. They don't need a boost. Americans need a boost. These have to be tax cuts specifically aimed at individuals, individual taxpayers, not so much the corporate, because that big, beautiful bill helped the corporate side tremendously. But we need individual tax incentives so that people feel better about the economy, so that people feel better about capitalism while it's under attack by all these Marxists and socialists, particularly before the election. Steve, I don't know what you think. Is there any chance of getting a reconciliation that would be targeted to individuals before the election?
Well, the key thing is cutting individual tax rates, especially not to get too nerdy, the 22 and 24% tax rates, which hits most of the middle class, especially in blue states. Knock both of them down to 15% or even 12%.
I love it.
That would have a real impact because people would see it right away. Make it retroactive. Let the Democrats take it to court. Oh, you can't do that. Let them take it to court. And on capital gains, do it by executive order. Even though there's a legal dispute, fine. Make it a campaign issue. Do you want to pay fake capital gains on your house, on your stocks, or do you want to have a real capital gain? And make it an issue and go on offense. The Republicans, we've said it here, everywhere, their communications is miserable. And they've left the initiative to the Democrats. So it's got to be the White House, the president firmly saying, not hinting maybe do something in capital gain, but firmly taking charge. And Thune in the Senate, leader of the Senate, and on the House side, make it an issue together. You know, we've had contracts in the past, take to the voters. Do it again. Before Labor Day, get it done.
I've come around. I think this is the only way the Republicans can have a chance at the midterms is if you make it very specific, tangible tax cuts for individuals.
I don't know where you want to go on this, and I'll let you take it anywhere, but I do just want to mention CPI and PPI are in a good range, good enough for Kevin Warsh to stay put. So that's not, being discounted by this market.
Right, yeah. I kind of thought everyone on the panel was going to be kind of rosy today, like things are okay. I feel like there's a lot of critiquing going on. Like, we should do a little more of this, a little more of this. What about this? We got to help the Americans.
We got an election coming up, that's why.
Yeah, I know, but this is probably going to be a theme for me throughout the day. But I actually think we're not as far from morning in America as maybe we talk about when it comes to this economy. This is a pretty good economy. I mean, think about this. If oil wasn't where it is, if it was down in the 60s like it was before this whole conflict, what exactly would we be complaining about with this economy? You'd have low gas prices, interest rates would be lower, right? So the housing problem wouldn't be a problem. We probably wouldn't be talking about this government funding thing so much. I mean, we're all kind of hanging on. We're doing a big project. It's called defeating a 47-year-old terrorist regime, okay? And it's got oil up. But if you took that out, I don't exactly know what you'd be complaining about.
Well,
with
that's the key thing, though, is the environment in which we're in. Reagan was able to create a good environment, and so even though you could say unemployment was still high, which it was lower than before, people felt things were moving in the right direction. They felt the country was moving in the right direction. They don't get that feeling here where every Monday you get an announcement the war is about to be over. I'll be blunt again. If he had continued the campaign in April, not stopped that campaign, the war would have been over by now. This thing would have been over. And so the longer it gets dragged out, the longer you don't pull the ultimate trigger, the more problems we're going to have.
But Morning in America was after 4 years of Reagan. Now, granted, Trump had one term, but there was a big matzo ball in the middle, and that was the pandemic and the Biden administration. So he's only had 2 years since the big, beautiful bill went through.
But look, if I could just make the point, I actually think there's bigger forces of perma-negativity in American culture these days from the left. They just don't ever want you to feel like things might get better. And they always want you to think the only way it gets better is if you move away from capitalism toward their projects. So they're never going to concede, golly gee, it's not a bad economy. And so I actually agree with your... Let me just finish. I agree with your critiques. I want to see tax cuts, capital gains cuts, individual. I'm with you on all that. But I also just don't want to concede, like, the feeling of the American people is kind of this hopelessness, because I don't buy that. Maybe it is among the deep blue people in the deep blue cities, but not in the middle of it.
It's a top-down narrative.
The American people want to be positive. They want to move ahead. They're ready to do it. You saw in the celebrations for the 4th of July, 250th birthday. But the key thing is you got to create the environment and communicate. Right now, the socialists have the advantage in communication.
Absolutely.
Our side is not doing it.
No, I hear you on that.
That's fair.
You don't be
and it's not middle America.
And that's why I say it's top-down, and that's part of the problem. I agree with you, Brian. People are not as unhappy as the left is telling you that they are. But I would also like to see some more movement forward on taxes. Let's do everything that we can to put money back in people's pockets, because when you make an ironclad case that even the left then can't debunk, at that point they look a little foolish when they're sort of spinning it. Let's pause.